Hi, y'all. Welcome to Beyond the Page. I'm your host, Kaelyn Page. Here we dive into careers, relationships, and navigating the messiness of your 20s. Beyond the Page is your space to explore how to build a life well lived beyond the pages of the internet. After all, isn't everyone trying to figure it out along the way? Sometimes I'll have guests, friends, or it'll just be me and you chatting like besties over a drink. So let's get into the show. I'm so excited to have you here today. You're such an inspiration to not only myself, but I can see all of your reviews. I know everyone loves your advice that you share as well.
Thank you.
I know you'll come through with a bunch of golden nuggets of advice for our
Thanks.
listeners today too. So, I obviously know and love you through your podcast, but for people who aren't aware of you or haven't heard of you yet, can you just tell our listeners who you are, what you do, and what you've been up to lately?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Lily. I am the host of 80/20. It is a health and wellness podcast that kind of just, it started as a health and wellness podcast, but it kind of just like chronicles my life as a 20-something woman, just trying to figure out how the world works. And I feel like it's a constant journey of learning how the world works. So no two episodes really are the same. It could be like, 1 month I'm like on cloud nine and I'm just chatting about how great life is. And then the next month I'm like, guys, you'll never believe I'm like down in the dumps again. And it's really just like this roller coaster of emotions. And that's just kind of like how life is for me and how it is for a lot of people. And I just kind of like chronicle that on the mic. More recently, I have gotten into writing. I was able to publish a chapter in an anthology called Deserts to Mountaintops. Thank you. Thank you.
Exciting.
So it's super, super cool. So that's kind of my most recent project. That was in January. And yeah, I'm a 20-something gal. So I just do a lot of things. And
We're all figuring it out.
We're all figuring it out. And the more I talk to people, like the more people I have on my show, the more I go on other people's shows, and just even in natural conversations with friends, the more I realize like we're all just on this journey of like discovering what we're good at and what we're not good at, and how life works. And yeah, so that's just kind of like what I try to pour into my day-to-day work is just conversation and just helping people feel less alone.
Yes, I love that. And that's why I love your podcast too, is because I've gone through similar things. I feel like anyone in their 20s is all trying to figure it out because it's like this. It's not linear. There's so many twists and turns and things to figure out along the way. And I feel like you package up the advice really well. So,
oh, well, thank you.
I love that. So how did you get started? Like, what was your mission, or what was your why, or how did you know that this is kind of like the path that you wanted to go down?
Yeah, so I started my podcast. Well, I guess we'll back up a little bit. I was on YouTube. I started my channel when I was a senior in high school. So I was like 17 at the time. And I had grown up watching like Bethany Moda and
Love her.
oh gosh,
Yeah.
My
The
Life
OGs.
the OGs, like My Life is Ava, Remy Ashton, was that one? Yeah,
I feel
just
like I've heard of her too.
yeah,
Yeah.
like all like that kind of like beauty guru, like the OG YouTube girls.
Yeah.
And I was always like, oh, it's so like fun to do that, or it looks so fun. And so I started a YouTube channel when I was 17.
Go
Really
you.
didn't. What'd you
I
say?
was the girl, I said, go you. I
Oh,
was the
thanks.
girl who was like too scared. I'm like, oh, all of my friends in high school are going to watch me, but you were the brave one.
But it's hard, especially like when you're like 16, 17, like just trying to fit in. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, like like I had people like playing my videos at parties and stuff. Like they were like not nice about it. And granted,
Oh,
they
they
were,
were like making fun of you.
oh yeah, oh big time. I had one kid one time, I was at a party and he was like, what, you're not gonna vlog this? And I was
Slapped him
like,
in the face. What the
I know.
hell?
I was like, mom, come pick me up. Like, I want to go home. And,
They're so mean too in
they're
high school.
so mean. And I was like, guys, like, I just want to like have fun and document life. And then now, some of the girls that like bullied me and stuff, they like blow up on TikTok these days. And I'm like, guys, like, see, like it's normal now. So whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, so started my YouTube channel in high school and just decided to go for it. And then when I was in college, I started to gain a little bit more traction, started to do brand deals, made a little bit of money off of YouTube. And then when I was in my junior year of college, I was doing online school. It was like quarantine time or whatever, and I was just kind of bored. So I started my podcast. I was like, you know what? I just want a long form content. This was kind of like when creators were like toying with podcasts. No one really, people weren't like, it was kind of on the
starter
come up.
days. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of on the come up. So it was like 2019, 2020. And And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. So I got one of those Yeti blue snowball
Oh,
microphones off of
yeah.
Amazon. And I
I've
just
seen
pressed
those.
record. And it was just me chatting in my childhood bedroom. And it was really casual. And it just started to gain traction. And it was really cool to just watch the show grow. Eventually, I got a marketing job and I moved out of my parents' house. I got my own place and I started to talk about the 9 to 5 life, started to talk about it's crazy like looking back at my podcast statistics because the most popular episodes were some of the episodes where I was going through like my lowest of lows. So it was like chronicling and storytelling of my like darkest times and people seem to really resonate with that, which is just like crazy to me of how the statistics on my show really do prove how lonely people are and how much they just want a friend or want someone to relate to in the sense of like
Yeah.
talking about what they're going through.
You
Um,
want to feel validated, like,
yeah,
oh, I'm not the only one going through this. So
yeah,
that's cool that the statistics show that too.
yeah, absolutely. And so the show just really grew from there in 2021. Maybe it was the end of 2022. Yeah, the end of 2022, I hit 1 million downloads, and that was like such a big milestone. And
Woo,
then
that's
since I'm up
awesome.
to like 4 million. So just crazy to think that like not
200
400
episodes
people.
deep too.
Yeah,
You've grown
yeah.
so much.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just crazy.
So, yeah, look at the bullies now. They're probably like, man, I should have done what Lily was doing back at those
I know.
17 years old.
Yeah.
Who
Well,
knows
and then
where
I
they're at
think
now?
too, it's like just kind of a testament of like just do what you want to do and don't, I mean, as hard as it is to have people look at you and pretty much tell you that what you're doing is stupid, like just do it anyway. Because you're gonna look
Yes.
back and like wish that you did, you know?
That's so true. And I saw a quote recently as well, and it was like, you have to think about the people who are doing the things that you want to do. Would they judge you for you like giving it a shot? No, because they went through the same thing and they started at ground zero, and you kind of just have to give it a shot and like not care what other people think. I know it's easier said than done, but like just face your fears, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Yeah. And that's why I'm here today doing my early episodes podcast with you. So thank you for believing in me. And see, you're
Absolutely.
not judging me because you're like, hey, I went through the same thing.
No, 100%. And I mean, you are just an like it's so easy to talk to. I mean, we're only like 5 minutes in, but you're just a natural conversationalist, and like
Oh,
I
well,
could just
thank you.
tell you're gonna be so good at this, and you already are.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into some of the advice that you share. I love your advice. That's like, whenever I look at you, I'm like, I have literally learned so much from you. And I think you're like 24, right?
Yeah, I'll be 24 on Monday.
Oh,
Oh,
happy early birthday.
thanks. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So I'm 28. I'm a little bit older than you, but I still have learned just so many like life
Oh,
lessons through your advice and everything. So I think no matter what point you are in your 20s, your early 20s or your late 20s, like you have so much good wisdom. And I was
oh,
telling my
thank
boyfriend
you.
too, I'm like, I'm interviewing this guest and she is like wise way beyond her years. So I would
Thank
love
you.
to get into some of your advice that you have. So, you've really changed my life with your quarterly action plan
Mm.
episode. I love that one so much because I feel like if you think of your like goals in the sense of a year, it can get really overwhelming. Like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I have this huge mountain to climb and all of these different things to do. But breaking it down in quarters, I love like that plan that you put together.
Yeah.
But can you tell us more about what this is and kind of how you came up with that?
Yeah. So breaking down goals, I mean, I remember in like third grade, my third grade teacher, I was in Mrs. List's class, and I remember we just talked about goal setting. And so ever since probably like, I guess that's elementary school years, I've been really adamant on breaking down my goals into tangible steps. And so for me in like the business world, quarterly just makes the most sense. If it's, you know, if it's maybe like a fitness goal or something, maybe you break it into like 6 weeks or maybe break it into like, I mean, depending on, you know, whatever your approach is for your end goal, break it up however you see fit. I just feel like quarters work the best for me and different seasons like of the year you're gonna feel differently. Like as summer comes up, I'm not gonna be doing the same workouts or I'm not gonna be working the same way that I was in say the winter time because it's like the winter time I'm like dormant, I want to be cozy, like not much is happening. Whereas the summertime we've got, you know, everyone's moving at 1 million miles an hour, everybody wants to make plans, everybody's on vacations, everyone's on their own schedule, like things don't get done as well in the summertime as they do in the wintertime, I feel like, because people are more like in fun mode. And so it
Yes.
just really depends on like the time of year. So I love quarters for that reason, because you're going to work differently depending on the seasons. But yeah, just really breaking it down of like, okay, January, February, March, what do I want to happen in the terms of like getting to where I want to be come December of the following year. It's really just easy to break down your end goal into like a 3-month plan and then create tangible action steps from there. So for example, if you want to write a book, we'll use that as a good example. This is good because I'm trying to write a book and I actually
Yeah.
need to sit down and make a quarterly action plan for this. So maybe this is
Let's
a
hear your advice.
real life exercise going on right now. All right, so it's April. So let's say Q1 is just out the window, whatever. Let's say I want to have this book done by December. We'll say Q2, April, May, June. Let's say I want to have the book, the first draft, done by Q3, so July. Is that right? Yeah. Then the month of April, I would spend writing chapters 1 through 5. The month of May, I would spend writing chapters 6 through 10. The month of June, I would spend writing chapters 11 through 15. And then by
You're
July,
not writing the whole book at once. Yes, I
not writing
love
the whole
that.
book at once. Because if you look at it from like the big picture, you're like, oh my gosh, how the heck am I going to get all of this done? Whereas if you,
It's like you get overwhelmed. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start.
yeah. And I think that that's where procrastination comes into play sometimes too. I'm a huge procrastinator. And I think it's just because sometimes I look at a project and I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks so big. How the heck am I going to tackle this? So by creating some sort of like tangible action plan in forms of quarters or months or days or weeks. I actually did this last night. I went to karaoke with like some
Oh,
of my friends, and my one friend
love
was like,
that.
yeah, it was super fun. I sang, we were going to sing Party in the USA, but I ended up singing
Oh,
Save a Horse,
that's
Ride a
a,
Cowboy.
oh,
So
both
because,
are classics.
yeah, both are good, got the people going. But my one friend was like, okay, I have like 25 pages of writing to do for my thesis before, I think he said over like the next 10 days, or he said the next 12
Oh,
days. I have 24 pages or 25 pages to write. And I was like, oh, well, that's only like 2.5 pages a day. Like just off the dome. I was just like, oh, that's just, 2.5 pages a day. And he was like, wait, you're right. And I was like, yeah, just break it down. Like you don't have to
don't
do,
procrastinate it.
yeah, don't procrastinate. I was like, okay, well, after karaoke, go home, write 2.5 pages. I'm like, that's what, 30 minutes of your time? Like just bang it out.
Yeah.
Do you like, just slowly chip away at whatever you're doing. And it makes the project and the progress so much easier.
Yes. I like so agree with that is like building it out into like bite-sized chunks makes it a lot easier to do and then a lot less overwhelming and stressful too. I love what you said in your episode as well about like struggling with accountability and how it's so easy to like not be enthusiastic about the things that you say you're
Yeah.
going to do and maybe you should like take that as a point of reflection on like do I actually want to do this? Is this something that I should be even doing to begin with? Because I think that really shows like whether or not you're interested in doing it in general.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if your heart's not in it, it's just going to be so tedious to do. Obviously, like if you're doing something for school or if you're doing something for work, maybe you got put on a project that you don't love, your heart might not be in it, but try to find a reason why. Because if you're not rooted in that why, you're never going to get it done.
Yeah, so true. I recently saw this theory too, and it was like success follows interest. And it was like
Love that.
it was actually a psychology study too. I know you're going to psychology school, but it was with Duke University, and they surveyed some students who had to do like a crossword puzzle or something like that. And the ones who were like crossword fans and like loved doing that did really well at it, but the people who like weren't into puzzles and like just weren't skilled at that were like burnt out, and by the end of it just like couldn't succeed at the task. And I think that's so true in real life too, on the same theme of like struggling with accountability and like whether or not you're interested in it, is you have to actually love what you're doing to be successful at it. If you're just
Yeah.
sitting there like going through the motions every day, it can kind of be like depressing, I guess, too.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree with that.
I also loved what you said about like what will it take for you to trust yourself in that episode.
Yeah, no, that's a big thing for me is like if I we'll go back to the book example. Do I trust myself to write a book? Because if I don't trust me to write a book, then how would the reader trust me to read the
Yeah.
book? You know, how would they get good advice if I don't even trust myself? So your heart has to be in it. And yeah, you absolutely have to trust yourself.
Where do you like get that trust from? Is it
Oh,
just like a
such a good
mental
question.
game that you tell yourself as like, I can do this, like try to just knock out the imposter syndrome, or like what is your process for that?
Yeah, definitely. I would say just like a lot of prayer and just really like spending time with God and just like, you know, what does He want for my life? And then how can I turn it around and, you know, produce a podcast or produce a book or whatever, you know, or whatever I feel like my calling is at the time. Um, and yeah, I mean, trying to like knock away the imposter syndrome. It's really, really easy for me to like get on Instagram and look and see what everybody else is doing and think that I'm not qualified. And it just, I think that we all do it for the most part. It's really hard to feel like you're the authority in things when there's like so much noise coming at you. But I think that if you can find a way to
Yes.
like block out that noise, whether it's just like not listening to other people's podcasts or not scrolling Instagram or not going on LinkedIn to see everyone else's success, like you just, if you just kind of tune that out, it's a lot easier to just focus on you and be like, all right, I'm honing in on my craft and it doesn't really matter what everyone else is doing.
Yes, that's so true. It is so easy to just compare like social media, especially in our age and the day that we live in, is like it's so easy to see what other people are doing, but it's a highlight reel. That's kind of like the mission too behind Beyond the Page, is it's like diving deeper into people's life beyond the pages of the internet,
Love
because
that.
social media totally is like fluff.
Oh,
Um,
100%. And filtered and edited and, you know, maybe like 2% of someone's life, if that, you know?
yes, literally. But yeah, on that note, I'm obsessed with what people do behind the scenes. So, what are some of your daily routines, and like what does that look like?
Oh, okay. So lately, I've been really prioritizing sleep lately. So I
Oh,
have been letting myself sleep in until like 7:30, and which is good because I used to be a big like wake up, you know, like morning routine. Like I have to do my journaling and my, you know, morning devotional before I leave the house kind of thing. And lately I've just like been letting myself sleep and then go do a workout and then do that stuff when I come home. And it's been such a better routine for me because I just feel like more awake. I feel more energized because I've already done my workout. So wake up, workout, and then kind of like ease into my day that way. So I've kind of like flipped my morning routine, which has kind of been working for me in the season of life.
yeah.
Oh gosh,
So
other
do you
little
still
days.
wake up at like 7:30, or
Yeah,
do
yeah,
you
mostly
do
like seven, like
okay.
7:30ish. And I try to go to bed by like 10.
Yeah,
So that's big for
same.
me. That's big for me. If I stay up until
Yes.
like 11, I'm like, oh, it's so late. Like I need to be in bed. I've
And
tried
then
to
it's
like,
that much harder to wake up earlier
it
too.
is. It really is. So yeah, really prioritizing sleep, really prioritizing reading before bed instead of scrolling. That's huge for me. Really just like a
How do you
nice.
do that though? That's something that I've like tried to do so much, and I'm like it's so easy to just like reach for your phone, but like how
So
did you get
easy.
into the routine of like grabbing a book instead of your phone?
So I deleted Instagram off of my phone, the app.
Oh, love that for
And
you.
thank you. I haven't had it on my phone for like a month.
Oh,
So this has been like absolute game changer. I've
how are
downloaded.
you liking that?
Oh my gosh, I love it. It is
Really?
so but it took so much like mental strength to convince myself that I was allowed to take a break. And I downloaded a handful of times to either I posted something for my sister's birthday and I posted like a couple podcast promos on the podcast Instagram. But other than that, like, and then there have been a couple times where like I scrolled a little bit, just like checking on friends and stuff. And then I just deleted the app off my phone because I would find myself reaching for my phone and ending up on the app and then thinking to myself, like looking around my apartment, like, wait, how did I even get here? Like I was gonna do
It
laundry and now
sucks
I'm
you
sitting,
in.
it does. I'm like, I was just gonna do laundry or I was gonna empty the dishwasher or I'm in the middle of cleaning my house and all of a sudden I'm sitting on the couch and scrolling Instagram. I didn't even realize how I got
And
here.
then it's like an hour past and you're
It
like,
is. And
"What?"
I'm like, I've like wasted so much of my life. My screen time has gone down so much. And now I'm to a point where like I downloaded it again last night. I guess it was to post about the podcast. So I guess it was yesterday afternoon. And I had it on my phone like all throughout the night and then like into the morning this morning, and I forgot that it was there. So it's kind of just like
Oh,
been deleted from my brain now, which is like kind of cool.
you trained yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like broke my habit, which I'm really proud of myself because my sister was like, "You are a screenager. Like you have an Instagram addiction."
That's a roast. I would take that
Oh,
harshly.
100%. So I'm like, "Oh, you're right. I'm done with this." So deleted it. But yeah, and I don't think I'm gonna download it again, like for real anytime soon because I'm probably gonna get back into my old habits. So
Yeah.
probably just gonna keep it gone. And like I don't miss it. And like I said, I've been sleeping better and I'm able to read before bed. So honestly, it's literally just like deleting Instagram from my phone. Like
I
just
love
truly
that.
like
Yeah.
cutting the habit cold turkey because nothing else would work. Like I tried to put the timer on, like like
Oh,
it'll
I bypass that every time.
oh, I'm like, this is stupid. And then I just take the
Yeah.
timer off. So yeah, I just ended up deleting it because I was like, there's no other option for me. Either that or leave my phone out in the kitchen. And I wanted to
Oh,
like have
yeah.
it next to my bed. Like, I mean, God forbid something happens and like I need my phone in the middle of the night. Like I just, more comforting having it like next to me. Um, but yeah, I had to get rid of it. So then now I can read before bed, which is cool.
Now you have nothing
So
distracting you from reading. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
What
So
are
it,
some of the books you've been like obsessed with?
so I really, really love The War of Art. That's what I'm reading right
Oh,
now.
I haven't heard of that one.
Um, it's a good one. I'm kind of like reading that more in the morning, just like in my like morning like stack of books, like devotional, like read a little like inspirational book. It's
Mm-hmm.
more inspirational than anything. There's
Oh,
like
okay.
little like each page is like a little paragraph. It's cool.
Oh,
It's all about
that's
like
perfect. Yeah.
creativity, procrastination. It's super cool. But then right now I'm reading Hello Beautiful by Anne. I don't know her last name, but it's really good. It's kind of a take on oh gosh, what is it? Little Women, I think.
Oh, I
Yeah,
haven't read that one, but I've heard like it's
it's good.
heart-wrenching.
Yeah, it's good so far. I'm like 150 pages in maybe, but I only
Oh,
read
wow.
like half a chapter a night because by the time I get in my bed, I'm like reading like 10 pages and then I fall asleep. So it's really like a slow roll, but I'm reading that and I'm really enjoying it.
I love that. Yeah, I need to take some notes from you because I'm struggling with the same thing. It's like I'm like, oh, I have to get on my phone, but I have like the hatch and what works for me, but I just can't do it all the time because I am addicted to my phone. Is I'll just leave my phone in the other room and then my hatch will wake me up and then I have to get up to go get my phone.
That's
But
smart.
then I'm
That's
like
good.
not a motivational book girly before bed. I feel like I need like a
Yeah.
storybook and then like how you were saying an inspirational book in the morning.
No, I agree. I think personal development before bed just stresses you out
Same.
because then I think
Yeah.
like that, and that's my problem with personal development books is like first off, a lot of them are just the same. And like once you've
Yeah.
read like 25 pages in, you're like, all right, I get the gist. Like, did I really need to spend $30 on this book? And then you're reading it and you're like, wait, I feel like I've already heard this advice, or like I feel like I could
Yeah.
have come up with this myself. And
Same
then you're just like,
same stuff, different perspective of another
it is,
person. Yeah.
yeah. And so I'm just like, can we get new advice? I don't know. This is
Hey,
kind of
maybe
boring.
that's what you could do in your book.
Yeah. So, well, and that's what I've been like journaling about a lot lately. I'm like, what advice do I want to give? And I don't know exactly what angle I'm going to take. Maybe that's why I'm procrastinating so much on this book project, but I'm like something's got to change because if you walk up the aisles of Barnes and Noble, like every single book is giving like the exact same advice. I'm like, okay, how can I
Yeah.
be different? Like what's missing here? Like how can I fill a void, you know?
Yeah. That's so true.
Yeah.
I could hype you up forever, but
Oh,
your
thanks.
advice is way different than the books.
Oh, well, thank
um
you.
yeah,
Well,
just
that makes me
because
feel good.
yeah, I just think that your advice that you give is no one really has a good book for people in their 20s. Like if that's what you want your niche to be, it could be bigger than that, but like that actually is relatable and not something that you just can find everywhere else. So just go through your 200 podcast episodes,
Oh,
girl, and
thanks.
you'll have some good content for your book.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And I haven't read your chapter yet, but I'm sure that's good
Okay,
too.
well, text me your address after this. I'll send you a book.
Oh, yes. I want to
Yeah.
see it. So it's a chapter within like a bigger book, right?
Yes. So the book itself is called Deserts to Mountaintops: Choosing Our Healing Through Radical Self-Acceptance. And it's written by 19 women, and each of us
Oh,
has about it's about 4,000 words in a chapter. So It comes out I think mine's like 11 pages, give or take.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Um,
that's a big chunk.
yeah, so it was super fun to write. But yeah, it's like an anthology. So each chapter is or yeah, each each little section is a chapter. Oh,
From a
yeah.
different women or woman.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's cool. But yeah, I'll send you a copy. I'll sign it.
Yes, I would love that.
Yeah.
When did you realize that those were like your passions, and how did you like get involved with the book and like start pursuing those?
Yeah. So I've always loved writing, and it's just always kind of been something that I have been good at. Like, you know how you have people in your life that tell you that you're good at things and you're like, I don't know. And then one day
Yeah.
you're like, "Ah, wait, maybe I am. Maybe I am okay at that." Writing
Yes.
has been one of those things for me. Like my parents growing up, they always told me I was such a good writer. Did you ever have to write BCRs in like elementary school? It might have just been like a
Oh, no.
Maryland thing.
I've
It was
never
just
heard of
like,
that.
it was so, did you grow up in South Carolina?
No, I actually grew up in small town Kentucky.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure the schooling there was like wildly different, but Maryland decided to come up with like these BCRs. It was just a different name for a short answer and long answer essay. So it's like
Oh,
3 to 5
okay.
sentences. I'm like, guys, just call it short answer, long answer. Like we don't need to
Yeah.
complicate things.
What does that
Um,
even mean?
right? I know. I'm like, okay, just but anyway, everyone hated writing these BCRs and I didn't mind. I was like, I'm not bad at this. And then like anytime my parents would read writing as, my homework or a paper or something growing up, they're like, wait, you're actually like you're a decent writer. When I was 12, I really, really liked this magazine called Discovery Girl, and they had a website where you could like submit stories. And I submitted a
Oh.
story of a time, like of a like a conflict that I had as a sixth grader with some other girls. And the story premise was like bullying and popularity. And they picked up the story and they published it.
Oh.
So I went through
How
like,
old were you?
I was 12.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's
It was
big. That was the start of your journey.
yeah, that was my big break. But
I
no,
love that.
it was so crazy because I just like was on the family computer writing the story and then I submitted it. And so I think that writing has always just been one of those things that I have liked and enjoyed and been relatively good at. And so the owner of the publishing company that I published this book through, or that I was part of this book, that part of the book that I was published in, we recorded a podcast together and I
Oh.
saw that she was still taking author submissions for the upcoming book. And because this is her second edition of this anthology. So I was like, hey, are you still accepting author submissions? She was like, yeah, sure. Like, let's chat. We talked, I signed on to the project and it all happened like really fast and really naturally. And it just always felt right. Like, I just always felt like I was supposed to be part of the project. And the whole group was such a cool group of women. And, yeah, we just kind of like chipped away at this project together. And yeah, it was really, really, really cool. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I
yeah.
can't wait to read it and read your chapter, but I think that just goes to show like you won't get what you won't ask for. Like I love that you totally was just like, "Hey, I know you're writing this book. Like would you ever consider me?" and like just kind of pitch yourself too because I feel like so many people kind of expect things to fall in their lap or things to happen to them, not for
Yeah.
them, but you kind of have to ask for it. So, I love
Oh,
that.
100%. And like never discount the power of like a DM or an email. Like that's
Hey,
pretty
look
much
at us. Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean literally like that's pretty much how I've gotten every podcast guest or every opportunity or every like I spoke at a podcasting conference and I
Oh.
got that opportunity because I emailed them like 2 or 3 weeks before. I was like, "Hey, have you guys had any speakers that have dropped out? Do you need any like backup speakers?" And they were like, "Wait, actually, yeah. How does 5 p.m. on Tuesday work?" I'm like, "Solid, I'm there." So
I'll
like
be there.
yeah, you never know what can happen when you just put your name in the hat. Because the worst they can do is say no, but if you never ask, you're never going to get a yes.
Yes, that is so true. I love that. I feel like all of the opportunities that I've really gotten to is just like face your fears, send the DM, send the message, and like you're either going to get ghosted or they're going to say no, but at least you tried.
Oh yeah, 100%. And you
Yeah.
never know. You never
Yeah,
ever know.
seriously. So how do you balance everything that you have going on in your life? I
Oh
know
gosh.
you just got back into school, you're doing the
Yeah.
podcast, like you're trying to write a book. How do you juggle all of this? That's a lot.
Really just day by day. Yeah, like you mentioned, I'm going back to school now, and that's been really cool. So I'm taking two classes right now, but they're the accelerated kind because they're like the short 8 week terms.
Oh, okay, that's nice.
So it's like double the amount of work and but like in 8 weeks. So like it's fast. And I'm like, I forget how to be a student. But yeah, I mean, really, I just take it day by day. Like every day looks different for me. And that's something that I really struggled with because I thought that I needed to have like a very standard, like 9 to 5 structure. I thought that I needed to like operate a certain way because like, I don't know, I feel like you look at people who work corporate or who are, I don't know, I feel like I have a hard time uh being okay with the fact that I operate differently than like, you know, a typical 24-year-old girl. But then I ask around like all my friends and they're like just doing their own thing too. So they're like, Lily, don't worry about it. Like who cares what everyone else
Everyone's
is doing?
figuring it out.
Yeah, everyone's figuring it out. Like you don't have to work a 9 to 5 to be successful. And that's just something that I need to be like happy with and like okay with.
So you feel like you have to work a 9 to 5?
I don't
Like
know if
the
I
societal pressure, I guess.
Yeah, I think I do feel the societal pressure sometimes just because like a lot of my friends do. And I don't know. I feel like for some reason that's like what people expect. But I don't know. And then I shuffle through like the names of the people in my head who matter most and like they don't care where I work. So it doesn't really
Yeah.
matter.
And it's way cooler, honestly, to be doing not a 9 to 5. So embrace it.
Absolutely.
It's against the norm, but I think it's a cool journey to be on. So
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I know. And I'm so grateful for like like I got to go to yoga today at 9:30. Like, it just is.
dreams, goals.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. So, just being able to like have a flex, but then again, I'm probably going to be up doing work until like, 7 or 8 p.m. and like not go out with my friends tonight because there's a little give and take, but, I think for me in this phase of life right now, like this is what works best. But as far as juggling and balancing everything, it's really just a day by day. And like, like I said, I went to yoga this morning. I took my psychology quiz before we hopped on this call real quick, like ran into the bathroom, did my makeup, hopped on this call. After we're done, I'm going to get back into doing school, might record a podcast tonight for my own show. Like it really is just like whatever works that day is how it goes, and really trying not to like stress too much about when am I going to get this done? How am I going to get it done? Just knowing that like it is going to get done, and just put it on your calendar, make time for it, and make sure that your priorities are straight as far as like right now school's my top priority, and then obviously like working on the podcast and just trying to grind on that, grow the audience, grow the show, everything like that.
Yeah, I love that. No 2 days are the same, but
Yeah.
trying to manage the stress, I feel like whenever it is so busy is key. On the same note of like you have all of these things going on in your life and society's pressure of, I wanted to see like what success looked like to you. I know success looks so different to everyone. It's going to look different to me than what it looks like for you, but I'm just curious, like what does success look like for you like 5 or 10 years from now?
Oh gosh. Okay. 5 or 10 years from now, probably I would say just being happy. Like I know that's like such a cliche.
I love that answer though.
But I'm just like, gosh, like, as long as I'm happy and like I have a roof over my head and, I have, a good family to do things with and, a little bit of money to make sure that I'm, able to do the things that I want to do. And, I just, I don't know, like a lot of people, okay, back to the 9 to 5 thing. Now I'm kind of like, I'm talking all over the place, but
no, I love
back
it.
to the 9 to 5 thing. I feel the pressure because it's like a norm, but I don't think I would ever go back to working a 9 to 5 because it fried me. And I just appreciate more of a slow life and a slow pace, not necessarily less work, but just a different type of work. So I think as long as the podcast is, if that's still a thing in 5 or 10 years, if it's growing or grown to, on my vision board, I wrote 10 million downloads. Like that would be such a dream to hit 10 million downloads.
You'll get there.
Thank you. In the form of like, just being able to reach that many people, I think would be really cool. Obviously I have goals and stuff, but when I think of success as like when I'm on my deathbed, like I want to look back and be like, I'm so happy that I have a cool family and like, had kids and their kids had kids. And like, lived such a fun life. I'm not really going to care about like the number of downloads that the podcast had when I was like
Yeah.
25, you know? I don't know. Big picture things like family is probably the most important to me, and just making sure that I'm happy and that the people around me are happy and that I don't feel sad and anxious like I did when I was like in my early 20s. And yeah, that's probably success to me.
Yeah, I love that. And I can totally relate to like the slow living lifestyle.
Mhm.
I feel like if you would have talked to me in my early 20s, I'm like, I want to climb the corporate ladder and be like a CEO. But now I'm kind of at the point like, I just want to own a house and like be able to
Yeah.
have a garden and like be able to go to yoga at 9:30 in the morning. Like
Yeah.
that's goals.
And I think too, like our generation is kind of seeing that more. I mean, when I was truly in like the 9 to 5, like I feel like I really, really thought that corporate was like the coolest thing. And
Yeah,
that
because
I
that's
was
what
like,
you're ingrained to, like in
yeah,
college and growing up in high school, like every ladder in society leads you to that point.
yeah, exactly. And I'm like, as soon as I kind of just like zoomed out of that, I was like, okay, well, what's really important? And it's really not work. Like, no one's going to care how many times you stayed late in the office when you're, 80 and retired and like on your deathbed. Like, no one's going to be like, wow, you know what? He stayed until 7 p.m. every single night when everyone went home at 5. No, your family's going to be like, oh, well, he was never home.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I always think about that. I'm like, what are my true priorities? Obviously, work hard, make money, make sure that everybody's taken care of. But goodness, I don't know. I want to have fun, like live a slow life and like just enjoy my life, be able to enjoy my life.
Yes. Same. I totally feel that. And it's the 80/20 lifestyle. You need to have fun,
Yeah,
but have a little balance. So I love that.
absolutely.
Okay, we'll end it on a high note. Is I
Okay.
know you have so many good life hacks. So what is your favorite best life hack that you're doing right now?
Okay. Best life hack. Okay. So I would say probably my, I don't know if this is like a life hack though, because it's just like my like workout routine that's like working really well for me.
Oh, I love
Three
that though.
days, 3 days of strength training, like really heavy. And
Oh, like
like
lifting
my
weights and
like
stuff.
lifting, yeah, lifting. Like I looked at my bicep the other day in the mirror. I have sweatshirt on, so I won't show you. But like I looked at my bicep the other day in the mirror and I was like, what? Like I've never seen myself that strong before. I was like, this is insane. But I've been super, super consistent. And so I've preached consistency before, but this is the first time that I've been like truly happy in a workout routine. And it's because I love the gym that I go to and I love the class that I go to. I go to Eastern Shore Performance on Ken Island for anyone if you're in the, Annapolis area. If you wanna try it out, let me know. But their workouts are great. And so that's probably the consistency that's been a huge success for me in my fitness. That's been really, really cool. But like
I
a
love
little
that.
life
I
hack
need to get
that
some muscles on my little on my little arm. So adding strength training to my list.
yeah, and it's I mean for I would go to the gym as, just like independently. And I always felt like I was never doing the right things because, and I could never
Yes.
stick to something because I felt like I wasn't getting results. But then finally, just like kind of relaxing into my routine in the sense of like, okay, I'm going to show up every Tuesday, every Thursday, and then, maybe on a Saturday or, whatever your schedule looks like. I'm going to show up here, here, and here, and I'm going to just keep showing up and I'm not going to stop. That I think is the best life hack that I've given myself, is just continuing to show up on these days that I promise myself. I mean, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, if I don't show up, that's fine. But if, as long as it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and I'm checked that box, then I'm good. And knowing that like consistency will bring me results, but not necessarily just focusing on the results, focusing more on like, how does the workout feel right now? Am I picking up a heavier weight than I did last week? Is that okay that I'm picking up a heavier weight? Do I feel good in my body? Do I really feel like this in my shoulders right now? Like really just like digging into the workout itself, like while I'm there, and not worrying about, okay, well, in 6 months, I want to look this way. Because
The
whenever I
physical
focused on
outcome.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, whenever I focused on like okay, in 6 months, I want to look this way, I never looked that way. And in fact, it just stressed me out more than anything because our bodies fluctuate. I mean,
I
as
feel
women,
that.
like when you're on your period, like you're going to look so different than when you're ovulating. So like, it doesn't
Yes.
really matter what you look like. It matters how you feel.
Yes, that's so true. It's all about the consistency too. I love that. Is like you're not going to see the results that you want, even if it's not about the physical, but like you're not going to start feeling better until you do it like consistently for, I would say, at least a month. So, so
Yeah,
true.
absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Lily, I love talking to you today. I loved all of the advice that you shared, and I just feel like you are a ball of wisdom and knowledge, and I'm just so thankful
Thanks.
that you came on today.
Well, thank you so much
But
for having me.
yeah, thank you for coming on. Where can our listeners find you and keep up with you?
Yeah, so 80/20 is my podcast, just 80/20. It's on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, anywhere you listen to podcasts. I'm also on Instagram at Lily Rakow, and the podcast Instagram is at 80/20pod. Like I mentioned, I haven't necessarily been posting, but my stuff is up there. So if you want to go check me out, there's some content on there. I have a website, lilyrakow.com, if you want to get in touch with me. Yeah. Oh, I'm also on TikTok too, but I never really
Oh,
post. It's the podcast TikTok, so 80/20 pod. But yeah, other than oh, and then my book is on Amazon, or the book that I wrote a chapter in is on Amazon. It's called Deserts to
awesome.
Mountaintops, Choosing Our Healing Through Radical Self-Acceptance. So that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Any and everywhere.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much, Lily.